What's going on, Summoners? My name is Nathaning, and in this video, I'll run you guys through the 10 best top laners on patch 11.23. If you're lost during all the preseason chaos, look no further because I'll give you guys a quick snapshot of the current top lane meta. To begin the preseason madness, I'll let you know that Jace is back. With the introduction of First Strike, you're going to be seeing a lot more Jace, even outside of Arcane, which his character is interesting in Arcane. Anyway, this keystone alone is enough to bring Jace back as he comfortably sits at the top of the popularity charts. One patch was enough and Jace is suddenly the most played top laner in the game, and let me explain why. First Strike fits Jace's playstyle incredibly well. While players previously had to choose between Conqueror for extended trades, Electrocute for a niche, assassin-like build, or Phase Rush for a classic hit and run, First Strike plays around Jace's main identity as an early game lane bully. It provides a small window of increased damage output, perfect for Jace's quick rotations of spells, but more importantly grants him bonus gold. He used to be a lover of kleptomancy, so it's no surprise that Jace players are all on board the hype train for this new addition. With increased income, players are quickly able to hit their power spikes and continue building lead after lead. Once ahead, enemies are forced to claw back in and take risks if they want to remain relevant. Otherwise, they continue to get bullied out as Jace pulls further and further ahead. The power spike lethality items provide is huge, and hitting them even a minute earlier creates an incredible power spike for 80 champions to work off of. If you need help learning to play or play against the current meta champions, make sure you hit up a coach at ProGuides.com. They're grinding the preseason as well, and I'm sure that the insight of a high elo player can definitely help you adjust to what's essentially the new season of League. Next in the list we have Jax. Again, a huge preseason change paves the road to success. Jax was already performing well, but the changes to Lethal Tempo have pushed him into another level. Rather than having to wait for a ramp-up time and also deal with the inactivity afterwards, Lethal Tempo now rewards Jax's main trading pattern. That is to jump in and smack his opponents over and over with this lamppost. The rune now rewards players with a reliable and big attack speed boost if they're able to stay in combat with their opponents. In a sense, it's similar to the Conqueror rune except it provides attack speed. This is perfect for Jax, especially after level 6, where he sees a massive increase in damage with his ultimate. Lethal Tempo's massive attack speed boost brings out the most of Jax's ultimate and technically also helps him stack up his built-in passive as well. Put those two together and you get a lot of bonus attack speed. It's likely one of those interactions that was overlooked, and I wouldn't be surprised if Jax gets nerfed anytime soon. Although it's not a direct result of any preseason changes, Vayne is also another top tier pick at the moment. She didn't get any stronger or weaker, but the meta is definitely beginning to shift in a way that favors her. As a side note, many players are using Summoner Ghost on her, hunting enemies down from their side of the lane all the way down to their turret. Alternatively, it's also great for kiting and punishing overly aggressive opponents that get impatient. Vayne's scaling is notorious and goes well without saying that she's one of the strongest bot laners in the game. That isn't lane specific. In fact, lane also finds plenty of success in the top lane where a matchup spread is quite favorable. With some income and much more experience, Vayne top quickly scales up and becomes a monstrous threat for the enemy team. While she's a powerful late game threat, Vayne early game is ironically powerful as well. Next up is Tryndamere. Right clicking to win is probably as viable as it's ever been. With his ridiculously high base damage, built-in crit chance, and even bonus attack damage, all Tryndamere needs to succeed is attack speed. The good news for Tryndamere players is that Lethal Tempo provides plenty of it. As a result of the rework, Tryndamere's damage output is at an all-time high. Taking fights is easier than before. While the old version of the rune might have been better at taking out foes that were cornered or unable to escape, Lethal Tempo in its current state provides a reliable damage boost. Kiting Tryndamere isn't as rewarding as before since there's no cooldown to play around. In addition to this, the new version now provides more attack speed than it did for the majority of the game. With the stronger early and mid game, it's possible to build a big enough lead to circumvent the slight loss of attack speed in the late game. However, there's no dead time with the reworked rune, meaning Tryndamere is objectively in a better spot than before. Another champion that's made the transition to reworked keystone is Irelia. Her passive dealing solid on-hit damage, some extra attack speed easily pushes her to the next level. Irelia's current build incorporates plenty of on-hit effects in addition to her passive. Blade of the Rune King and its passive benefit heavily from the immense amount of attack speed that Irelia acquires with the new Lethal Tempo. On top of that, her attack speed can now exceed the typical 2.5 attack speed cap because of this rune. Whenever Immortal Shield Bow's passive activates, Irelia can also take full advantage of the bonus attack damage. Viktor is probably a champion that you've heard and seen more of. In the mid lane, he's currently a dominant force as a result of First Strike and Crown of the Shattered Queen. Guess what? He's a top laner too. While it does take a little time to ramp up, Viktor's range makes it very easy for him to safely farm until the later stages of the game, where he can go ahead and hard carry any fight that arises. Given that the majority of top laners are melee, Viktor is free to bully them and collect some free gold with First Strike. While there is a penalty for ranged champions, it still significantly accelerates Viktor's scaling. He's inarguably one of the strongest late game champions with his ability to control teamfights and safely deal incomprehensible amounts of damage. Crown of the Shattered Queen also helps Viktor out a ton in the top lane. When enemies try to force a fight against Viktor, its effect Divine Safeguard makes sure that he's able to survive what would otherwise be a heavy amount of burst damage. In cases where his opponents are too scared to jump in and start the fight, he's able to safely take advantage of the bonus AP provided. There's also the change to Cosmic Drive. Viktor is essentially able to build Phase Rush. In a way, you can basically say that he's able to purchase an extra keystone with the money that he farms with First Strike. A team-fighting monster is already hard to deal with, but one that you can't even catch spells out a certain loss for anybody that needs to fight Viktor. Although you think Viktor's early game is exploitable, that's only the case if the player using him are too aggressive. It's difficult to dive Viktors who are playing safe. His W's agree to turn against turret dives as a well-placed gravity field can lead to either outplays or trading kills, which isn't too bad. As long as there aren't too many minions lost in the process, Viktor's scaling makes any even or close to even trades worth trading. Before moving forward, let me ask you our question of the day. Which champion do you hate playing against the most right now? For me, it's Teemo. That devil is so annoying and tilting to play against. The fact that he's so good only makes matters worse. Let me know your answers in the comments down below and let's continue on with the video. There aren't that many tanks that have risen in popularity yet in the preseason. However, Tahm Kench is still proving to be one of the hardest top laners to deal with. His sustained, surprising amount of damage and crowd control all make him difficult to fight head on. Overextend just a little bit and you're as good as dead, since Tahm Kench's low Q cooldown enables him to chase down enemies caught out in his side of the lane. Frostfire Gauntlet received a small change and some extra damage can't hurt. Now that the slow field deals extra damage, Tahm's kill pressure has gone up in the mid and late game. So yes, believe it or not, there's a melee champion that isn't abusing lethal tempo in the current state. I promise this is the last champion for this video that's using lethal tempo. This patch is probably Yoni's best performance as a top laner thus far. In case you didn't get it yet, yeah, it's because of lethal tempo. In Yoni's case, the bonus attack speed isn't only dealing extra damage. Attack speed lowers the cooldown on both his Q and W. W's cooldown reduction makes for a world of difference. Each cast deals damage and also provides Yoni with the shield, and with lethal tempo maxed out, Yoni is able to access the ability at close to its shortest cooldown possible at the very start of the game. It's highly unlikely that Yoni was originally balanced with this in mind. After all, lethal tempo was a completely different rune when he was first released. With a massive boost in his attack speed, Yoni's DPS increases, and he gains more crowd control with his Q and also has more shields with his W. Ultimately, this gives Yoni the power that he's needed to brawl against other top laners. His ban and pick rate in the top lane has risen significantly in this patch, and for good reason. While so much is changing, one thing hasn't changed at all, and that is Camille is still extremely powerful. Her hit and run trading patterns are great for dealing with champions trying to abuse lethal tempo. The solution of fighting some of those champions is simple, just don't give them what they want. Camille has no problems at all taking a single hit and running. It's a tactical retreat, so you don't have to continue fighting enemies that only continue to get stronger the longer the exchanges get. While it's not going to be a lot in the early game, trading Conqueror for lethal tempo also means giving up some sustain. Slowly chipping away at enemies is one of Camille's biggest strengths. On top of that, she also gains a shield with her passive. Camille's Q and W are both excellent at poking enemies for free. A successful laning phase leads to Camille scaling up to become a terrifying teamfight threat. She has no problems one-shotting squishies with her Q's true damage. Her high mobility also makes her an excellent split pusher, as she can go ahead and easily avoid enemy pressure, or instead use her mobility to chase down whichever unfortunate soul was assigned the duty of stopping her. Our final top laner that we'll talk about is Teemo. Teemo continues to reign supreme, especially in low elo. Unlike several other top laners that we talked about, having a range advantage is huge. It allows you to safely farm and, more importantly, deal some extra and serious damage every single time the opponent wants to last hit minions. With the rising popularity of lethal tempo, it's also no surprise that Teemo's blind is as relevant as it was in the previous patches. In fact, it's an even more valuable ability than before. Since plenty of top laners are now using this rune, the odds of having an enemy on the enemy team that can hard counter you are even higher than before. As always, Teemo continues to apply plenty of map pressure. When ahead, he's able to aggressively force his opponents out of lane, and in addition to this, Teemo's mushrooms help him gain control over objectives. With that being said, we'll conclude our top 10 top laners for patch 11.23. Hope you guys all enjoyed it, and make sure you let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Also, check out our description for a link to join our Discord. It'd be great to see you guys there. Make sure you tag me or just say hello, because I would love to talk to you guys and get to know you better. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and as usual, you know the drill. Stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day. Peace.